Moving is, well, it's a lot, right? It's exciting, for sure, but it can also be incredibly stressful, especially that one moment when you see everything you own packed into the back of a truck. So today, we're digging into a super important question that often gets lost in all the chaos. Are your belongings actually protected if something goes wrong? This is what we're calling the mover's gamble. Okay, let me ask you something directly. Picture it now. You're moving. Think about that family heirloom, that antique vase, or even just your brand new TV. What happens if it arrives at your new place cracked, or broken, or just doesn't show up at all? Look, nobody wants to even imagine this stuff, but you absolutely have to know the answer before the truck pulls away.
So here's how we're going to get you that answer. We'll start with the hidden risks. Then we'll bust some really common myths. After that, we are going to decode all that insurance jargon, show you exactly how to check your mover, and then we'll finish up with one last, final check. Let's get into it.
First on the list, the hidden risk. You know, a lot of us look at insurance and think, I can probably skip that and save some cash. But as you're about to see, that little decision can turn into a huge, expensive mistake. And here is the bottom line, the thing you absolutely have to know. If you don't have a specific moving insurance policy, any and all of the financial cost for an accident lands right on your shoulders. I mean, the cost to fix or replace everything could be absolutely massive. You're not just betting on a few boxes. You are literally gambling with the value of everything you own.
Now, the reason people take this gamble is usually because of some pretty common misconceptions about who's actually responsible if things go wrong. And this is where it gets really tricky, because what you think you know can end up costing you big time.
Okay, so here's the big one. So many people believe this. The idea that if you hire a professional mover, they're just automatically on the hook for anything and everything that gets damaged. But is that really how it works? Well, the reality is a whole different story. First off, your regular home contents insurance, yeah, that almost certainly does not cover your stuff while it's on a truck. Second, a mover's basic liability is usually super limited. They might only be on the hook for damage that's proven to be their direct fault. And things they can't control, like a freak weather event or another car causing an accident, you're probably out of luck. Which brings us to the main point. Good, comprehensive insurance is almost never standard. It's an extra that you have to sort out.
So with those myths officially busted, it's time to get really clear on what you actually need. Let's jump in and decode the world of removalist insurance and cut through all that confusing jargon.
All right, the magic words you need to know are transit insurance. This is not your home and contents policy. This is a special kind of insurance built for one purpose: to protect your belongings for the entire moving process. From the second the first box is packed, to the drive itself, all the way until it's safely inside your new home.
And when you look into it, you're usually going to see two main choices. On one side, you've got full transit insurance. This is the good stuff, comprehensive coverage for the total value you say your belongings are worth. It's the real peace of mind option. On the other side, there's limited liability, and you have to see this as a budget option that only covers a tiny piece of your stuff's value, which means you are still carrying most of the risk.
Okay, so now you know what you're looking for. But how can you be sure the moving company you're thinking of hiring is legit and actually has the insurance they say they do? This is where we get practical. It's all about asking the right questions. So here are the key things you want to look for, especially here in Australia. First, any company selling you insurance has to have an Australian Financial Services License, an AFSL. If they don't have one, walk away. No AFSL, no deal. Second, check if they're a member of AFRA, the Australian Furniture Removers Association. It's a sign they meet high industry standards. And finally, just ask them. Ask to see their public liability insurance certificate. And while you're talking to them, here are 4 non-negotiable questions. 1. Ask them flat out what's the total value your policy covers. 2. You have to request to see their product disclosure statement or PDS. 3. Get them to clarify what are the specific exclusions. And 4. Make sure you understand their exact process for making a claim before you ever need to use it. And I just want to pause on that for a second. The product disclosure statement, the PDS, is everything. It's your single source of truth. This is the official, legally binding document that spells out all the terms, what's covered, and more importantly, what's not. Don't just get a copy of it, you have to actually sit down and read it.
All right, so you've got the PDS in your hands. Now what? For our last section, let's zoom in on the nitty-gritty details you'll find in there. This is all about knowing exactly what is and what isn't covered.
So, what does a good policy look like?
Well, it should definitely cover the big stuff. We're talking about accidental damage during packing, moving, and unpacking. It should cover the loss or theft of your things. And of course, it should cover damage from major disasters, like a fire, a flood, or a crash. And it should also cover those specific valuable items as long as you've declared them up front.
But now for the fine print, and you really have to pay attention here, because these are the traps that catch people out. Most policies will absolutely not cover damage to things in boxes that you packed yourself. They also won't cover an electronic item that just decides to stop working if there's no obvious physical damage. And really high-value stuff, like jewelry or cash, that's almost always excluded, so you need to plan on moving those things personally.
So, after going through all of this, what's the one thing you need to remember? It's this. At the end of the day, the responsibility is yours. It is up to you to do the research, to ask the hard questions, to read the fine print, and to make sure your belongings are properly covered. Don't just assume you're protected.
I'll just leave you with this one last thought. You would never, ever get behind the wheel of a car that wasn't insured, right? The risk is just way too high. So, why would you take that exact same risk with literally everything you own? It's definitely something to think about before your next move.